This is Special Report.
Black holes are one of the strangest things in existence.
Neil Armstrong may have seen extraterrestrials on the moon.
When he spies a discernible shape.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You can deny all the things I've seen, all the things I've discovered, but not for much longer. Because too many others know what's happening out there. And no one, no government agency has jurisdiction over the truth.
Welcome, everybody, to the embattled broadcast from behind enemy lines in the once great state of New York. My name is Rob Yox. This is Full Spectrum Universe, and man, oh man, do we have an amazing guest this evening. Somebody that I've been meaning to talk to for such a long time, and I'm so glad that she's come here to. It's really an honor and a privilege that she's on the show tonight. And, you know, of course, everybody knows it's Elena Danaan, and we're going to get into it right away. And for those of you who don't know who she is, which you're probably living under a rock if you don't, but Elena Danaan is an archaeologist who spent many years working on diverse sites in Egypt as well as in France, studying Neolithic and pre-Celtic cultures, hereditary shaman, and a vulva tradition. She also studied pagan spiritualities, magic, and alchemy, and was trained and ordained as a certified druidess. Extraterrestrial contactee since childhood, Elena Danaan became the emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Her bestsellers, A Gift from the Stars and We Will Never Let You Down, have marked our times and inspired millions of people. So without further ado, let's bring on Elena. Elena, how are you?
Hi, Rob. How are you? I'm very happy to be here with you tonight.
Again, it is such an honor and a privilege to have you here, and I'm so excited to talk to you and to dive into who Elena is and some of the information that you've been bringing to people and the way that you're creating this community and bridging gaps from other communities to create this tremendous conglomerate where we're all working together hand in hand, standing shoulder to shoulder to take on these adversarial forces that truly are trying to disseminate and harm what's happening out there, and the internalization of everything to enhance who we are and to see our truest potentials. So I appreciate you and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. So one of the things I wanted to jump into right away is, who is Elena in Elena's eyes? Tell us, when you look into the mirror, what you see, and truly, what I know you've said your mission, but I want to reiterate to the people who are here what your mission here is and what your purpose is to push this information out, and so people can really hear it, because it's so incredible and it's so intriguing, and there's so much potential within that information. So I'll shut up and let you talk now.
Well, the description you read of me, which is on my website, is the person I am incarnating in this lifetime and who I am here on Earth. But when I look at myself, I see the intergalactic being who I am and who chose to experience the human adventure, and who came here to remind humans at the last moment before their liberation who they truly are, and help them keeping hope throughout this dark night. We're touching the end. And you know, as the saying goes, the night is always darker before dawn. We are here, and I came to for this mission.
I love that, and it is always darkest before the dawn. And one of the things that you talk about is this 100 years. Now, the 100 years that is it after we've completely defeated these forces that are remnants of some greater conglomerate of darkness, and we move into some sort of golden age? Or is it 100 years of us defeating them and then taking that to the next level after that time?
Maybe you are referring to the experience I had on board a Meton mothership. Yes.
Yes.
Last year, I was invited onto a Meton mothership. It's a ship from the Alpha Centaurian system. I was invited to look into a looking glass and see 100 years in the future of Earth. It's 100 years from now. From last year. The dark, we've defeated it already. It doesn't seem so because they're very tricky, and the head of the dark, the head of the beast, has been taken down. It was extraterrestrials who have been taken off the star system. Now what remains is the human minions who are still active. Of course, they are very dark, but they've lost their management and they're running wild and trying to push their agendas in, the last moment, quite hurriedly. The 100 years I saw just from now, it was a world in peace. It doesn't mean that we will be in peace in 100 years. We will be in peace very quickly in the coming years. But in 100 years, what have been shown, it was really a change where, all the countries of Earth will be federated in peaceful organization, a planetary federation, where every country keeps their own individuality and culture and identity, language, everything. But they are federated. I mean, nobody's at the head of anyone in a peaceful planetary federation. There are more and more anti-gravity platforms and cities and towns. So the Earth is repairing itself because no more fuel, no more harmful, energy supplies. Everything that we are due, and we have all the renewable energies, all the energies, the free energy. It's there, and it's clean. And I had this vision. I saw the nature everywhere, trees everywhere. Everywhere I was shown, there were trees and forests, and I went, wow! And the air was clear, but it was something else different. The light has a different quality. The light, it's brighter, and there's a feeling of lightness. And I understood that it was a higher frequency. We have moved in a higher frequency, and I could feel that. So this is where we are going, and it's going to happen. It's stable. This timeline is stable. What is happening is that, of course, the defeated enemy, dying enemy, tries to confuse everyone and reverse back to the old timeline, but it won't happen because I've seen the future. That's what gives me my strength every day. I'm in good mood every day because I've seen the future, So
But you are perpetuating that hope, and I love it. I love that it's infectious, and we do need to be hopeful for that future. And I do believe that once we kind of break this paradigm as well of this rat race mentality of dog eat dog, or there is this enhancement in the frequency, because now we can take that time to embolden him and really hone our skills and crafts and create those little happy moments that were spent worrying about where the next paycheck's going to come from and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. So that, to me, that resonates so much so, and it truly is just amazing that this timeline now that we're on, and there was not even 5 years ago where the timeline was branching a little, and it
Yes.
could have gone either way, and the fact that we're here is, I think, truly that great awakening, and how their great reset is going to try and offset the great awakening. But what they don't realize is that's never going to happen, and there's too many people and too many veils being broken down for us to ever unsee what we've already seen. And from my standpoint, I see that now. When you see these veils breaking from somebody with your information and your knowledge, how does that make you feel when you see that people are really starting to wake up like this?
Oh my God, it's such a reward. I cry of happiness, of joy. Every time I see, I witness people around me suddenly awakening to who they are. You know, like they say, oh, I've seen who I am, and I start to see the world in how it truly is, and my power, and I connect with my soul group. That's the best reward I can have, because everything I endure every day, because I endure stuff every day, it doesn't matter, because if I help one single human per day, I'm happy. It doesn't matter.
Well, I would say that even if you help that one person, that ripple effect is three more people and three more people, and it's infectious and it just keeps going. And this is what we have to understand about bringing information to the table too. And the people out there have to understand that there is a tremendous pushback to that information, but seeing the results and the payoffs from it and having people empower themselves with this information. My friend Phil Gruber says the information is the activation, and being
Yes.
in the knowing gives you the ability to move in that moment.
My friend Thorhan, my contact in the Galactic Federation of Worlds, often tells me remembering is activating. And that is very important, because remembering is making the connections again, and that activates you. It's very important.
It so is, and that's another thing that we're understanding too, is when we find out this information, we're finding out where we came from. And they try and keep you sort of lost in the sense of not knowing where man or woman comes from. You're sort of lost and you don't understand that potential. And finding that out is a great empowering moment for people as well. And I'm sure you've been through a lot of, aha moments going through, with your contacts. Where do they believe humanity truly stemmed from?
Humanity is a compound of many different seeds, and that's what makes it special, because we have the DNA of 22 different races, one from this planet and 21 from outer space. DNA is frequency. When you carry the DNA of a population group, you are connected to the collective of this population group. For instance, if I carry the gene, for instance, in this body, in this incarnation, this body has Greek genes. So if I connect to the resonance of this Greek gene in me, I start to see ancient Greece and Greek civilization, and I connect with it. Well, it is the same with extraterrestrial genes. If we find about it, we can connect with other planets, other civilization, other cultures, like this quantum. So that's our treasure. 22 different from this galaxy and of galaxy.
That means that just about everybody's a starseed because you have the DNA of other races out there, and to me that's amazing. And one of the things I also wanted to ask you too was during your time of contact, and is there any patterns that you saw, as in the sense of the messages or as in the interactions with these entities? Did you ever pick up on things that maybe, not saying that they weren't telling you, but sort of like a pattern to them all?
Yes, they all want one thing, is that we focus on raising our frequency and uniting. That's the only way we make it through. Raising our frequency means reconnecting with who we truly are, the soul within this body, because this body is third density, shifting into 4 actually. But inside, the being, the is-be who is inside, is of a higher frequency. So if you connect to who's inside, you suddenly beam and vibrate in a higher frequency, and you lift all the frequency of the holographic matrix around you in a higher frequency. So the secret and the key that they always tell me, tell them, they need to raise their frequency. They look for the key inside of them. They need to reconnect with who they are. Another thing they say often is that fear is not part of the reality. Fear is a reaction you create yourself from information, but it's not. Fear is manipulation, can be manipulation, So cast fear away. That's what they say. And they're all hopeful for the future. I mean, it's been a bit difficult, a few last years because there was a war, and in space as well. It was really, really hard. But then last year, all has been finished, and they are now super hopeful, absolutely, very positive. And I pull my strength from them, from their positivity, and it's amazing.
Was there a time that they maybe, I'm not saying that they weren't hopeful, but that they thought that it was a little less likely to happen in that way?
Yes, because it's been a temporal war. So, sometimes they were really not that hopeful because they were fighting and it was middle of a war. And temporal war, it's difficult to encompass when you it's a difficult notion to get that one. Temporal war, that means that you can travel to the future and come back in the past and change the outcome of a fight. And this is very complex. It's thinking with many tracks at the same time. It's difficult. But so yes, until I'd say 2 years ago, they were. I'd say more than 2 years ago, 2018, when I was taken on board a ship. They were very hopeful. They were like, yes, it's gonna happen. Yes. So 2018, I know everybody knew that we would make it. So before it was like,
Did your interactions with them sort of change after that moment too? Like, I'm sure that they were giving you messages to kind of relay to the public, but once that turning point hit, did their interactions towards you specifically become a little bit different?
Yes, because I didn't have a lot of contact before 2018. I had maybe one per year, twice per year. In 2018, they took me again on board the ship, and they reconnected with me, and they said they were going to activate my memory, and I was going to be very active. And what happened is that, yes, they gave me back the memory of my abduction and rescue. And once that was done, it was like a soul retrieval for me. I was activated. I mean, my memory suddenly came back, and I remember who I was and what was my mission, why I came. So all changed because it was the moment. The timeline was just set, needed to be stabilized, and I was going to play my role. That's it. Like, turn on.
I agree with that too, and that's sort of what there was these guardians of the looking glass out there trying to look back on different timelines and kind of steer the community on where they needed to go to be most effective. So there's a lot that goes into that. I kind of want to jump back a little bit because of your time in Egypt, and we discussed this a little bit before the show. And I had asked you that while you were in the Hall of Records under the Sphinx, did you feel that you had downloaded some sort of information that wasn't so much, say, on the scrolls and sort of a galactical, like kind of like a galactic information or something pertinent to your experiences out there in the galaxy?
Well, yes, the first time I went under the Sphinx, it was with Zahi Hawass, Dr. Zahi Hawass. I was a trainee in Egyptology. I was 29. I freaked out. It was really weird. I freaked out. I just, crawled back up. But the second time when I went back there with my galactic contact, it was totally different. I had access to technology, amazing technology, mainly based on crystals and holographic technology. When I touched the first device, I interfaced with it. It was quite strange. And yes, the resonance of it within me had more repercussions and that positively that I thought at the moment I did it. I interface with the knowledge, visions, codes. Well, not like codes, that's so many different. I mean, codes, that means that's the language or the technology. It's packages like bundles of information that is broadcasted to you by telepathy or something like this, by frequency more. And so these bundles of information they contain stories, images, data. Well, I had all that. But when I came back, I was continuing to process these things. And it was still in my head, and more was coming, more information. And that's when I realized that these bundles are extra temporal. It's not the information you get as you get it at the moment, and that's it. You disconnect, it's over. It's not. You download something and it's there and you have access to it. It's quite a formidable technology. Formidable.
I wish we could do that now because, or at least in this incarnation, because that would be all of my work would be stored in my head in different places. But no, that's incredible. And I believe that when you walked into that site and you felt that change, your body reacted in a fight or flight kind of method. And it was like, well, wait a minute. And then when you get back to it, it's like, oh man, this is
Yeah.
intense, and anybody gets like that. We all see that when we go into different situations, especially people with social anxieties and things like that. And you get into these situations and it's like, oh my God. And then you come back later and you take that deep breath and you're like, okay, cool, we're good, but I can
That's
only
it.
imagine what the energies must have felt like.
It was intense. It was intense the first time when I was this training in Egyptology. I went down into a tube. It it was dug into the damp soil, and it was a bit suffocating there, where a sustainment beams. I needed not to touch them. It was like snaking my way back because you go feet first, not the head first, never.
Right.
And there was a worker below me with a lamp on his head, and he was guiding me with a gentle voice. Come on, in Arabic, of course. And okay, very nice. It was very good. But suddenly, as I was going down, the intensity was humongous, and I started to resonate with it. Because of my DNA, it's in resonance with this type of technology. And I think it wasn't the moment for me. Probably I wasn't ready, not in these conditions anyway. So I had a panic attack. That was the reaction of my body to this intensity, and I crawled back up quickly.
That's wild. I can only imagine too. And not only that, you're in an enclosed space, so things are also heightened and very sensitive to emotional changes in yourself as well. And that's incredible. I just wanted to touch back on that because I feel like there's for me, when I was looking over on your about page on your website, which is below in the description, and I was reading that and I was like, I'll bet any amount of money that something happened while you were in Egypt too, that also enhanced, who you are today and what makes you feel that way. And your ability to, with your abilities of sentience to truly connect with things, that being at those sites must have been just incredible for you. Because I mean, I can go to the battlefield at Gettysburg when I was a paranormal investigator, and you could feel the energy of such massive amounts of, I mean, it wasn't really great energy because of what it was in the historical context of the United States, but you could feel the fluctuation is, I guess, the best way to put it. And it was just like, and you being you, going into those places must have been just an immense amount emotion and energies flowing through you, from you, to you, and all that. It must have been incredible.
It was very intense, but not only in Giza, where I worked temporarily. I was assigned to a mission in Karnak Temple during 8 years. I was 8 years in Luxor in Karnak Temple as a chief epigraphist. Every morning, because it's very hot, especially in spring, we were going to work either at 7 or at 6 in the morning when it was hot. There was no one in the temple, and the sun was rising. And I always cherish these memories, entering into the temples, and all the energies are here, and you can feel the magic and the power of the sun rising right in front of you. The beams of light were passing through the sanctuary. It was phenomenal. And connecting with this ancient magic and power every morning, it was quite a gift. Because the Egyptian ritual spirituality, I qualified. I have a specialty about the ancient Egyptian rituals, so I know about all the magic and etc. It's magic. I mean, it's not prayers only. It's just not simple prayers. It's magic. When it's done, if it's not uncast, undone, it's there forever, for eternity. And it was still there.
Wow.
Incredible.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. Another thing I wanted to bring up to you is I saw that you were talking about Neptune for a while. And then it basically, mainstream science came out to validate what you had been saying about Neptune. So if you'd like to explain it a little bit better than probably I could, the situation and how it arose and what was the outcome.
Well, a few months ago, I was told that there was an ancient arc on Neptune at the South Pole, and that as well, along with other arcs in the star system and on Earth a lot, these arcs were responding to frequency. Long story short, there was an arc activating the South Pole of Neptune, and I said that. I went, okay, well, I'll tell people. Well, maybe a few weeks later, maybe 2 weeks later, I don't remember. The mainstream science announced that there was an abnormal heating up of the South Pole of Neptune, and nothing could explain it. And these arcs, when they activate, they produce heat. So that was quite cool, And Thorhan, my contact, he knows, because they know the future. So he gives me a little information that to me seems all right, but he knows that because this is going to be confirmed by mainstream science and the medias, so he's playing with it, like giving me a little bit of gift that. But so that, and recently also Neptune, I was taken there. Well, I was back actually yesterday. Just they wanted to show me extra dimensional beings living on Neptune. That was quite an extraordinary experience. I don't know why they always tell me about Neptune, but there's something about Neptune. I think data is going to come from Neptune, because it's not for nothing. It's not by chance when they show me something in this star system or in other star system. There's a reason for it. It's because science is going to speak about it. So let's see what happens.
That's incredible. And just to talk about the arcs real quick, and I've been following that a little bit, and they have these beings that are basically in cryostasis waiting to be awakened, and they've been there for a long time. And I'm wondering now, that people keep talking about these radio signals that are coming from space, and I'm wondering if these radio signals are frequencies to engage and reinstitute those arcs, possibly places. And an arc is pretty much what we think it is, in the sense of holding on to DNA and specimen to recreate or to engage and create a new platform and culture on that specific planet. And maybe what we're getting is sort of that, that initial frequency that kind of shoots across the galaxy and then reawakens that arc to be instituted and to go forth and do its job.
Well, first, this star system, as every star system, is bombarded by radio signals from space, but sometimes you have one that has a particular pattern that draws attention, and recently that happened. There are frequency signals coming from other star systems who are helping this star system raising frequency. That's a whole process. There is a lot more to it. These arcs were activated now by the arrival of a fleet from the Intergalactic Confederation in October 2021 in our star system. They arrived via a portal behind Jupiter, and they are mainly still stationed there, and now 4 of their motherships are in orbit of Earth. They've approached. Well, these ships emanate a certain frequency, and by quantum resonance, anything else in this star system that was made by the same technology resonated, woke up, activated, I must say. And we are talking now about a technology that is conscious. These people are 20,000 years ahead of us. Technology has reached a stage where it merged with life, consciousness. It's quite long to explain, but these ships are not biological beings, but they have a consciousness. And they have awakened, and they carry crews in cryostasis, These beings, they are of different origins. These beings are about to awaken. But we need first to deal with getting rid of our dark human minions. When the Earth is safe, these beings will awaken and offer us and explain to us the technology. But that's about the arcs.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I want to kind of focus on the dark remnants of the peoples on Earth, because to know thy enemy is to truly, not have to engage them on a violent level if we know what they're going to be like or what they're going to do. Your explanation of what these non-playable characters truly are, and I'm just going to let you describe what you talked about. I think it was probably a few months ago, about the codes that they have in them that are subset and basically set somewhere in their brain that activate. But I'll let you explain it further if you could, please.
What are you mentioning? The dark minions of the enemy, or them?
Yeah,
okay.
the ones on Earth.
Okay, yes. So these ones have. I need to go through very quickly the structure as it was. You see the famous pyramid with the eye. Okay, where the eye is, it was the extraterrestrial part, mainly led by. There were 3 different things. What we call the Draco reptilians, the Sikaar, who have been infiltrating Earth since millennia. Also, a nefarious contingent group of Anunnaki, it's the Enlil part, who has been also infiltrating Earth societies and government in special places. So these ones were working together at just keeping Earth enslaved. A third group was there. It's the Nebu, the Orion Greys, but then they are not part of the pyramid. They are just something that arrives after and made deals with governments. But, they are competitors with the Draco reptilians, but they are sometimes working together for benefit, that was there. So these are gone. Now, the rest of the truncated pyramid, it's humans. So at the top, you had, I'm not going to name them, but the people with the compass and, the sign like
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
These ones, this organization is behind, has been behind. It's collapsing now, but has been behind everything. And then you have everything. Every royal family government has been under their tyranny and control. And then you have all these royal families and governments more or less hybridized, that's another story. And then you have people who, because it's compartmentalized, and under other people who don't know who above is really, and then that goes down in society. And at the lower level, it's, sorry to say that, but it has been us as the slaves, which we are not anymore. They try to make us believe we are, but we are not. We are free. We're free. We are free.
It's great. It's incredible, and that description of it is right on. And we've always known that, and they've given them names like Archon or Minion, like you said, and it's truly wild how some of these people don't even know that they are a part of this until it's that time or that code gets activated, and then boom, all of a sudden they're going into this spiral. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a way that we can kind of get these people to not engage that code, or is there a way that we can kind of right that wrong?
I do not have the answer for that. All I know is that the codes have been put in the mind of many people who are coming on the stage at the moment, especially recently, because it's the last combat. These people truly believe what the information they receive from the activation code. The thing is, these programmings have been set up by mind control. There is no device. Okay, it's like if you hypnotize someone, the person doesn't remember, and you said in the hypnotherapy programming, you set a programming and you say, well, when you will be, I don't know, 40 years old, that day precisely, you will activate and do that. Hypnosis can do that. It's very easy. But, well, IMK Ultra has done that to these people.
Very much so.
And to activate at the right moment to counter those who are working at helping humanity. And I need to say at the moment, it's the shit has hit the fan.
Very much so.
They're all there in the open, and which is good, because Torhan has told me that the way they're working, the Federation, is to take the mud and bring it at the surface, that everyone sees it, and they're, uncovered. So it's happening now, and it's quite, wow, what a show.
It definitely is. And just to kind of bring it back to the Galactic Federation, is there like a set of rules that they kind of go by when encountering, let's say, a new planet, or integrating kind of that planet into their system? And how does that look?
It depends on the stage of the planet. If it's stage 3, means, okay, you have stage 1, the planet is culture who's barely discovering spirituality, has no idea of space, like we would say us, until we sent the first rocket in the sky, That's stage 1. So these ones, you won't touch them. You will let them to their own development. You will allow them to their own development, not to interfere, because it's a right balance. A civilization, a culture needs to evolve like in balance, like this, with technology and consciousness. So it needs to go by pair. So if you bring suddenly lots of technology and the consciousness has not really evolved at that fast, you create a disbalance and people are in distress, in it's chaos. So they don't do that. Now, if this planet is in danger, they are going to intervene, endangered by an outside threat, off-world threat, infringing this law of non-interference. They are going to intervene, the Federation, but in a way that will be undercover, not disturbing the culture. That's what they've been doing. Now, stage 2 civilization. That's where we are, sending rockets, spaceships in our star system. And stage 3 is interstellar culture. Stage 3, the culture has discovered off-world extraterrestrial life by themselves. So for us, it was all messed up. We had extraterrestrial life since so we are a weird stage 2 transitioning 3 civilization. So they intervene only when everything goes well and the civilization is not interfered. The Federation intervenes at stage 3 because the culture needs to make the first step at discovering themselves extraterrestrial life. Then it's all balanced,
Right.
So that's how they do.
So, is it safe to say that once we get rid of sort of these darker entities or minions that we have on this planet, that we'll have an access point to deliver it, whether we're going to be into that Galactic Federation? And are they waiting for us to become a part of it?
They can't wait. We're kind of half part of it because our military is part of it. The Artemis Accord and the Space Command, they have agreements with them that the civilians are not yet told. They can't wait. They only want us. Well, they've done their work, which was to eliminate the off-world threat. Now it's up to humans of Earth to deal with their own problems. It's a weird way to say it, but we need to overcome our monsters. They are helping us a lot. They are behind us on Earth. There's a lot of people, of galactics on Earth, and they are helping us doing that. But it needs to be, the humans need to feel they did it themselves, to grow up and to learn from it. It's very important. It's crucial. It's crucial. So they ask us to stand up for our rights, and stop fighting each other, stop feeding the tactics of these minions who try to keep us down by creating distraction and division. We need to overcome that and unite. But we need to do it by ourselves, otherwise it won't work.
It makes so much sense too, because even in let's say that Earth is the microcosm and the macro would be the universe in that Galactic Federation, and the people can't overthrow sort of like their government without doing it themselves. If there's other people engaged in that espionage of that government, then it's ill-begotten and it'll stand for a while, but it's not on their own accord. So it makes total sense, because that's kind of human nature, and that's incredible to think about that. How much is somewhat similar out there as it is here, just on a different level, I guess is the way to say it. But another thing I wanted to touch on is disclosure. And I know you have an event coming up that we were talked about with Danny that's in the description down below is where you can get your tickets. Tell us about this event coming up and what this event means to you.
Well, wow. I can't wait to go there. It's a conference in Florida, in Orlando, 21st to 23rd of October. It's my first conference in public, my first appearance physically in public, and my first time coming to the States. And I'm very excited, overly excited. The thing is, what it means to me is that, it's the concretization of my mission. It's stepping up on a physical stage and speaking. I am going to talk about the future, the technology that we are going to share with the Galactic Federation of Worlds and also the Intergalactic Confederation. I'm going to talk about all these new technologies and how it will be integrated in life. We'll talk about also these people, these new people coming into our star system, the Intergalactic Confederation, the Seeders. But it will be based on scientific and technology information that will be quite interesting. Well, it's going to be, I'm going to be meet Alex Collier for the first time, Dr. Michael Sala and all my other friends. That's going to be something very special.
I think so, and I know you guys have been working together for a little while now, trying to really, create a united front to this disclosure movement. Because, of course, if we wait for others to bring this information out, they also don't have a full understanding of this information like you guys do either, which is sort of, when we talk about this gray area between mainstream disclosure and your disclosure, where do you see that the biggest gaps are? And does the U.S. government or the people trying to portray this disclosure actually know about some of this information?
It's
Like your information.
very compartmentalized, everywhere. As above, so below. At the Galactic Federation of Worlds, they compartmentalized military data information. I'm not aware about their operations until the operation has occurred. On Earth, in the same building, you can have people working in an office on something and be compartmentalized with the information about the other just next door office. This very compartmentalized. That's the way they rule. That's the way, unfortunately, it can have a good aspect, but it can also have a negative aspect to create, to freeze things, on Earth. I mean, only I think the people on Earth at the higher levels know about what is really there. All this technology that has been shared with us, only a certain group knows about it. So there are two types of untold technology. There is the free energy and all these renewable energy and free energy technology, or what Tesla worked upon. All the patents have been confiscated and retained. And only the group of people who just took that away from humanity know about it. And that's bad. But that is going to be released when these people lose power. And then you have, since the 1940s, the Galactic Federation of Worlds has contacted the US Navy and the Pentagon, and they have been working together on developing secret space programs, secret technology to equip us to fight the invaders. They won't, as I told you, they won't fight them for us, but they will give us tools and train us to fight them. That is our victory, and they've been doing that. Solar Warden is the fruit of it, the first fruit. This is developing. There are many now international secret space program, which will not be secret anymore. I think we are about to drop an S in SSP soon.
I think so too. It can't just keep taking children from their beds and going off and doing 20 years and coming back. And, people are going to eventually realize a little bit, but there's a lot of recollection with it now. But go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, yeah. So the ones who are taking children and, doing bad things, that was the Dark Fleet and the dark branches of the military working with the Dark Fleet, Now, that I am aware, there are people working in US Air Force and US Navy who sign up of their own will as an adult to be part of these programs. And that's fair. That's all right, But soon, there won't be all these age regression, and etc., because it is going to be part of our reality. Well, the civilian knowledge, So things are going to change, I suppose.
That makes a ton of sense too, that there would be different aspects of the military working with different
Yeah.
aspects of entities too, and that would, of course, what you're saying would take the taking of children like that was definitely towards that darker side for sure, which is pretty wild to think about. One of the things that while listening to your the YouTube channel, I heard you talk about the voices of these entities that you interact with, and they're a little bit smoother and slower. And one of my thoughts was that, we have a short life cycle compared to them. So they're probably talking a little less excitable because they're a little bit older, a little bit more matured as a species too, which is pretty wild. But what's your thoughts on the difference in their voices like that?
Yeah, well, they all calmer than the most of humans I know on Earth, um, um, and as me sometimes as well. um, there are different levels. The higher you go in density, or the longer is the lifespan of a being, the slower and the quieter is going to talk. So they are so calm. They have the perspective. They know the future. The thing is, they know who they are. So there's no fear. There's no, they have emotions. Totally, totally. I've seen Thorhan cry. I mean, they have emotion, but they are controlling them, That's another topic, the emotions. The way they deal with it is quite fantastic. They allow the emotion to come. They don't refrain it, but they embrace it. And it's very short. It's like 5 minutes. Like, you're upset about something. You're going to come on, embrace it. You're upset during 5 minutes and it's gone. You release and it's gone. I've learned a lot watching them and doing that, because then I apply it to myself. I'm upset about something. I'm going to crack up and cry 5 minutes and it's gone. Embrace your emotions. That's amazing. Something amazing I've learned with them. Then yes, they know also the universe. They know the bigger perspective of things, And when you see that, you don't get caught in lower vibrational reactions. You calmer. Yeah.
I bet having witnessed to, like you said, the future, and I get, and really having an understanding, it's that unknown that truly emotionally kind of tampers with the human emotion aspect of what we are, and who we are. And I guess being in the knowing like them, it would definitely be a lot different. And that's amazing to
Mm.
examine too, because it shows their sentience as well. It's not like they're just, not that they weren't sentient, but they're not like robotic in nature and things like that. And that's, that shows the potential of where we could be, but still having our emotional balance and truly not losing who we are by advancing in these ways. And that in itself is showing us that we know now, and we don't have to fear that unknown. So we can be less reactive and more supportive of our own endeavors and our own emotions. It's an incredibly profound moment that you just gave me. And I appreciate that. That's incredible.
Wow. Well, yes. And the answers are not outside. It's, going within yourself and reconnecting with who you are. I'm repeating myself, but I have no other way of explaining it. You access to this infinite knowledge because when us as a soul, because we're not these bodies, us as an is-be, I like that term. We are boundless in consciousness. We can access the consciousness of the universe because we are a fractal of source. In certain religions, it is before they were corrupted. Certain religions said that God made humans at his image. Okay, that means God must be a guy with a human body. Well, no. sorry, the soul.
It's okay.
It
I
was
agree.
talking about the soul, no, not the body envelope, the soul. The soul is a fractal of source. We are a fractal of source. We are at the image of source. And it's on a consciousness level. That's what it meant. And once you know it, wow.
I completely agree. And that fractal is spread across every parallel dimension and universe that there is. And the higher self is that focal point. And that becomes the lens that the expressions and experience come through before they're given back to source. And that's how we use our higher self when we communicate with our higher selves, to get the understanding of those other embodiments or fractals of ourselves that could have been through a potentially similar situation or the same situation that plays out. And that's kind of where we get our gut feelings from, right? Like that
Yeah.
anxiety walking in, or that looking back and saying I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't do that. And that's kind of like our system, our sensory system is integrated with that consciousness, so our body feels the effects of that consciousness as well. That's another profound moment. It's incredible.
There we go.
Absolutely incredible. We have about 4 minutes left. So what I like to do at the end of every episode, and I appreciate you being here, it's been such an amazing episode, I give the guest about 2 to 3 minutes to tell the audience what she believes they need to hear. I'm going to put you on full screen for it too, so I'll be right here in the back.
Keep fear at bay. Unite. Unite together. Stop arguing. Stop being manipulated by emotions. Stop being dragged into illusionary wars. That's what the enemy wants. I am asking you to stick together, to get back together and focus on what is important. Love. Because it is bounding each other with love that we move forward into the future. It is united. Leave your emotional response aside and unite. Get together. I really ask you to get together. Every time you argue with your brothers and sisters, humans, you make the dark laugh. They're laughing. So stop feeding them. We are stronger than that, more clever than that, and we have already won. So let us accelerate the victory, and may love prevail.
Absolutely beautiful sentiment, and I completely agree with it too. And this has been such an amazing episode, and again, it's an honor or a privilege to share the stage with you and get to speak to you and kind of throw my questions at you, and it's been so amazing, and I can't wait to work further with you again down the road. And this is, guys, if you haven't subscribed to Elena's channel, I'm sure you have. They're down below in the description. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe. Let's be the change that we want to be. Let's show the world this information, because it's that important. It is truly that important. And we are the ones we've been waiting for. It all starts with you. And when we take that love and we express that love, we become that love. And in that turn, we show somebody else how that love is a reflection of who we are and what we are. Exactly. So with that being said, again, I want to thank Elena. And my name is Rob Yox. This has been Full Spectrum Universe, and we'll see you all later.